offers economics classes for interested students. The classes will be handled by Professor R. Sumangalakutty and Professor Bindu Balagopal. Various topics in economics will be discussed through the channel. Interested persons can join.
Today in India, everyone is talking about Hindenburg and Adani. There is a sort of war of words going on between the Adani group, and there is actually no reciprocity from the Hindenburg side, but still there is a sort of war going on between the two. And then the Adani group is claiming that these people are out to destroy the infrastructure in India. They are out to destroy Adani, and they are being pushed on, they are being egged on by the Congress party, etc. But let us see who the Hindenburg is. What is it that they are doing? Hindenburg is a short-selling firm. It's a short seller. Actually, a stockbroker. In stock market jargon, we say he's a bear operating in a bear market. The actual short selling procedure we shall explain at the end of the class. But now let us say what are the ways of operation. How does he function? His modus operandi. How does he find out? How does Hindenburg make his profit? He is not interested in politics. He is not interested in the fight between BJP and Congress. He is out there to make a living. He is out there to make a profit. He is a stockbroker, and his company is a research company. What is it that he is researching on? He is not researching on COVID vaccine. He is not researching on quantum physics. He is researching on the practices of companies. The companies who are trading their shares. These companies, are they selling overvalued shares? Are the shares being overvalued? The value correct? Are there good practices, the corporate practices, governing practices, auditing? Are these good? So, in general, he is researching on these practices and coming to certain conclusions. And being a stockbroker and being a short seller, he at times is leaking out certain information so that the price of the shares would fall. And when the price of the shares would fall, the short seller would benefit. So it is natural for a stockbroker and a short seller to want to make the prices fall. There is nothing wrong in it. He is not somebody out to get Adani. It's not like that. His profession is like that. Then, what is it that he finds wrong with Adani Empire? He says what he finds most curious is the shares are much overvalued. The price of the shares have become 4 times, quadrupled in the last few years. But similar companies and their positions, their shares are stagnant. So why this company alone, their shares are progressing like this? A little bit of it could be explained by political patronage and all that, but this kind of a rise in price, it is difficult to explain. So there is something going on there, something rotten there, which has to be explored, which can be explored. That is the first idea that he gets. Then he also says another important economics question. He says Adani is especially concentrating on infrastructure, manufacturing, the second sector. The second sector is proverbial for small immediate returns. Immediate returns are not fast. In the service sector, possibly there can be 4 times increase, but not in the infrastructure sector. So there are a lot of bridges and a lot of ports and all that, but how is it that the rate of growth of income is 4 times? There is something there that cannot be explained away by economists. So these two he finds curious. So he looks closely into the practices of these companies and the shares of these companies. That is why he is called a researcher. He is researching on that. And then he finds that the Adani group has large investments in tax havens in Mauritius, Cayman Islands, Dubai, in all these tax havens where you don't have to pay taxes. So from out of India, he is selling shares and parking funds in the tax havens so that it could be used immediately. One example can be given. Last year, there was the problem of there is a problem of sudden fall in prices, and how the IPO market was affected. Then how did Adani handle it? The family members sold their shares and sent these funds to these offshore companies, and there it remained. From these amounts, yeah, it could be drawn. So when the prices began to fall as a result of the Hindenburg report, when the prices began to fall, suddenly all these parked funds were being used to push up artificially the price of the shares. So the shares were not allowed to fall, they were being artificially pushed up. These are not fair practices. These are malpractices, interventions in the share market. These interventions affect other people. Other people are investing their money, and if something happens, they will lose their money. So they have to be very careful. The stock market has to be very careful. Just like banks, credibility is very important. People's strong belief and their credibility in the stock market is very important. So such malpractices cannot be entertained. So this was another point that was raised by Hindenburg. Then he began to point out, what about corporate governance? All the employees there, all the auditors there, all are insiders, all are relatives, all are family members. And these family members, when they find small infringements on the normal working, they shut their eyes. They do not try to air the problem out. That is why one particular expert auditor, he resigned and went away. He resigned. Others are all insiders. So how far can you depend on the auditing and the corporate governance practices of the members of the family who are all inside working in the Adani empire? Then he accuses the Adani group of what is called circular trading. Circular trading. Suppose the prices of shares, Adani shares are falling. Then silently the family members could sell some shares. All are insiders. Sell some shares. These shares are sent off to Mauritius. There it is kept. These shares are used to bid for Adani shares. They are bidding for Adani shares, keeping up artificially the demand for Adani shares. So Adani shares are pushed up so high price. Again, they buy the shares. So there is a circular trading. You sell shares here, park these funds in the tax havens, use those funds to push up the share prices, then again these people buy back the shares. So this is what is called a circular trading practice that is going on in the Adani structure, which has been noticed by Hindenburg. They have been spending a lot of time over this, and they found that there is such a practice. Then usually in stock market, a very hateful word is insider trading. So many people have put their money there. So many people have invested their savings there. And then the family members, the insiders, they alone, between themselves, they come to understanding and they trade. That is reflected in the circular trading also. We mentioned about auditing and corporate governance. These are poor according to Hindenburg. So Hindenburg, actually it is infantile, it is childish to accuse Hindenburg of a hidden agenda and then working against the Adani group. What is there for him? He's a stockbroker. He's always looking at overvalued shares. He is working so that the overvalued shares could be bought and he could short sell and make profit out of every share. That is his aim. So he is not something extra that he is doing, but it is his profession. It is what he is doing. Hindenburg is doing like this, but here this is the attitude that is being taken by the Adani empire. Now, the Adani empire had a taste of what will happen if the shares begin to fall. Last year, in 23 January, there was an IPO sale, initial public offer sale of securities. They wanted to have 2.5 billion crores raised as a result of the IPO sale. And then there was a follow through. In between came the report. Suddenly the prices began to fall. But already large number of investors have bought these shares. So there was a large amount of talk. There was fear in the stock market. But then very wisely Adani did something there. What he did was he bought back all the shares. He said, no need to keep the shares. If you feel that share prices are falling, I will buy it back. So all the shares whose prices are falling, Adani bought back, kept back. From there on, Adani is keeping an eye on this. We as people who want to know about stock market, we should be familiar with some stock market jargons also. Nowadays, it is very important to have a working knowledge of a stock market. We do not go into details. We cut through it and just take what short selling is. What is short selling? What is it that a short seller is doing? Now, suppose a short seller has a suspicion that share XYZ is overvalued. It is going to fall in price. Then what can H do? Let us say H is the suspicious person. What can H do? H is suspicious that the shares XYZ are overvalued. So what H can do is to approach a brokerage firm, borrow some shares. Let us say one share is $100. One share price is $100. Then he buys 100. Now he is going to borrow 100 shares from the brokerage firm. He borrows, that is the first step. He borrows from the brokerage firm 100 shares. So it is borrowing. Margin money is given. He borrows for a specific period. After that, he will return. This is the first step. Then, second step, immediately he sells all those borrowed shares at $100. He is locking at the current price. Suppose the price is falling and he is left holding the baby. So he immediately sells all those shares and keep back the money. Then, third step. So, second step is borrowed shares are there. All the borrowed shares are sold and at $100 per share. So, now he has got $10,000 in hand. It is money. He has to give back the shares at a later date. That is the problem. Then, third stage, he is waiting for the prices to fall. He believes that the share prices are going to fall. He may give a little bit of push also. Some leakages also can be given. Some whistleblowers can be employed somewhere. So the prices may begin to fall. He waits. It is a very dangerous game. He he is going to lose a lot if it doesn't fall. So he is waiting. And suppose it falls, as per his belief, suppose it falls to $700 per share. Then $100 shares is buying. So per share 700 in 70 into 100. 100, it is falling from 100, it is fallen to 70. So now he has got $7,000 in his hand. $7,000. With $7,000, he can now, that is the price now. So with $7,000, he buys back all the shares, and then submits it to the brokering agency. So what has he done? Altogether, he has a profit of 3,000. First, he starts by borrowing the shares. The shares are immediately sold at the current market value. We believe the market value is 100 into 100, 10,000 he has got. Then he waits. Then the price of share falls to 70. So 70 into 100. At 7,000 he buys. And then he repays, he gives back the shares. When he gives back the shares, he has got some left with him. So that is 10,000 minus 7,000 he has got as his own. So this is short selling. So price has to fall. Only then he can make profit. Otherwise, it is dangerous. He has to give back the amount, and he has to give back the shares. And if he is selling, if he has to buy the shares at high price, he will lose. They are not dealing in 100 shares; they are dealing in very large number of shares, and there will be very great loss. Now, here is the speculator. The true speculator knows what tomorrow will bring. Now that is what Keynes said. Who is a speculator? A speculator is one who knows what the market will bring today, bring tomorrow. What the market will bring tomorrow. He knows it today. He knows today what the market will be tomorrow. Such a person can speculate. So if Hindenburg is such a person, he can safely do this. Otherwise, he stands to lose a lot of money. It is not about 100 shares or things like that. A vast amount of money he will lose. Now, this is a simple example of short selling. Short selling is much more complicated. There are several other problems there, but short selling typically involves these stages. Without all these stages also short selling can be done, but there are several dangers also. This is the actual procedure that is followed in the market in short selling. So our question is the short seller interested in making profit, or is the short seller interested in destabilizing another country? Short seller, now what is his game? How a short selling firm, a brokerage firm in New York, what is his stake in India? Now he is not interested. He is out there to make profit. And we should realize that when we are criticizing and saying, it is actually a sort of David and Goliath fight. This is a small firm, and here is a big mammoth organization. It is built on infrastructure. There is political patronage, and SEBI itself is compromised, it seems. That is the Madhavi Puri Gupta. She is not following the rules of the game, as it were. She is not doing that. Now, actually, a regulator should be very strict about following the rules. She is not doing that. Actually, it is compromised. People believe that the institution is compromised. if the institution is compromised and people's belief in SEBI, it is going, now there is a vast jungle out there. It's a vast jungle out there. We do not know what will happen. Now, the stock market requires a lot of credibility and belief. If something happens and the stock market crash occurs, it is the beginning of the crash of the economy itself. So, we are not playing a mild game, we are playing a very serious game, and a stock market should not be allowed to fall. Gautam Adani seems to be a very able person, a brilliant person. Only such a person could save the shares last year, but every time it cannot happen like that. So this, I would say, is the current scenario being played upon. But SEBI's interference, what SEBI is doing, the cronyism that is being displayed there, that I have not gone into in detail, because actually there the problem lies, according to many economists, that should not happen. The chief SEBI last the inquiry was not complete. Everyone believed that SEBI would look after things. It is not enough. Our Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, all of them should take a hand. There should be JPC. People should know that everything is clear. It is not enough if everything is clear. People should come to believe that everything is clear. Otherwise, there is going to be trouble piling up for us in future.